Hi, my name is Kim Cullen, and I'm a personal injury attorney in Winter Park, Florida. We meet with people all the time who have recently been involved in accidents, and many of those people are distressed because they keep going to their mailbox after their accident, keep getting bill after bill after bill, and they think that all of those bills are coming from the hospital. But little do they know, they're not all coming from the hospital, they're coming from a bunch of different medical providers. And so I want to take a second to explain how that happens and what that means, and hopefully put people's anxieties to rest about the hospital continuing to bill them and bill them and bill them. So many people don't realize that once you get to the hospital, a bunch of different bills are going to be generated. First, the hospital is going to generate a bill, and the hospital's bill typically covers any of the facilities or machines that are used in the hospital, as well as nursing care. So you go into the hospital, you are admitted into a room. If they send you for an x-ray or a CT scan or an MRI, all of those things, all those machines and the facilities are owned by the hospital, so they charge you for those things. In addition, the hospital also charges for any supplies that are used while you're there. So supplies could be something like Advil, or giving you medication while you're in there, but it could also be stitches or bandages or casts or anything like that that the hospital keeps on hand to provide to patients that they can take out of the hospital with them. So that's when you get a hospital bill after an accident, that's typically, those are the charges that are sort of included in the hospital bill. Of course, if you stay overnight in the hospital, you stay in the ICU unit, something like that, those are big bills, and those are also going to come from the hospital. So let's talk about the other bills that might look like hospital bills that aren't. So the most typical one that people get is an emergency physician bill. And a lot of times that bill is going to look exactly like the hospital. In fact, it might have the hospital's name in it, but it's actually from the doctors who work in the emergency room in the hospital. So most people don't realize that the doctors that work in a hospital typically are not employed by the hospital. In most of the hospitals in Florida, each hospital hires an emergency physician group to man and staff the hospital. So that group is made up of doctors, and those doctors have their own business. And that business is separate from the hospital, and it bills separately. So you might see a bill in your mailbox from something that looks like the hospital, but it's really going to be from these emergency physicians. The second sort of non-hospital bill that many people get from a hospital stay is a bill from a radiology group. So many people don't realize that hospitals also don't employ radiologists to read x-rays and CT scans and MRIs. They contract with doctors' groups to staff that aspect of whatever the hospital does. So if you have an x-ray or an MRI or a CT done in the hospital, typically that is actually electronically shared with a doctor somewhere off-site, many times at their own home. They're sitting in front of a view box or a very high-resolution screen, and they're reading the results of the MRI or the CT scan or the x-ray that's done. So those doctors also charge separately for their time. So you might get a bill that says, XYZ hospital radiology. That's not coming from the hospital, that's coming from the radiology group. And then as other specialists might see you in the hospital, whether it be an orthopedic surgeon or a neurosurgeon or anyone like that, if they're seeing you in the hospital, still doesn't mean that the hospital is going to bill you for that. You're going to get a separate bill from that doctor's medical group. So hopefully that will explain why there's so many bills that come out of a hospital visit, and they're not all from the hospital. A lot of people seem to think that when they're in the hospital, they're going to get one big bill, and typically that's not the case. So if you have any questions about hospitals or these various medical groups that work in a hospital or how it all works together and how the insurance works with that as well, please contact me or my law partner, Robert Hemphill, at 407-254-4901, or you can always text us at 407-644-4444.